Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Thiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 2 p.m., and that is on your Eastern time zone. Thank you again so much for watching. You can find us on television, and that's on Abundance Television. We are syndicated, and that's found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget the podcast on thenewscasters.com. We're still on all of the social media sites. You've got Facebook and the whole works when they keep me on. So far, no one has sent me anything about saying, Donna, you're not doing the right thing on Facebook, you mean devil. So right now, everything is intact, and we're tickled about that. So I've actually went about 2 weeks without being sent a message that I'm doing something bad. I'm a bad girl on Facebook. So maybe that's going to stay that way since President Trump is coming in. I have Chuck and Mary Lynn Bailey with me, and they're with Alabama Fair Tax. And I'm telling you what, some things that the more I hear from President Trump, I'm feeling pretty good. He might be doing something like fair tax. I hope it's fair tax.
Yeah.
He's we've got feelers out. We've got people trying in every direction. Ramaswamy, Musk. Let's see. Stephen Moore is going to be on his. He'll be supporting him in the House, in the administration. Mm-hmm. And so we've got all kinds of ways we're trying to get to him. But then our main thrust is going to be the ambassador to Israel. We lost our advisor, our Fair Tax Board advisor, the chairman of it, Mr. Huckabee. Uh-huh. He's going to be the ambassador to Israel. He deserves it. The man has been over there. He supports Israel, so he's going to make a good ambassador to Israel. Mm-hmm. But it's our loss, so we've got to find someone to replace him. I think there are a couple of guys that are stepping up. We've got some big name people that can't talk about, but anyway, they're trying. They're putting feelers out here and there, and they're trying to get people involved at a higher level, because we're an all volunteer organization. None of us are paid. This is all out of our back pocket, and it's so important to do something about this income tax system. And, most everybody in the Congress says, boy, we got to do something about the income tax, but they always are talking about tinkering with the income tax. Mm-hmm. That thing's been tinkered with and changed over 20,000 times since President Reagan had the flattening of the income tax brackets. Mm-hmm. And so they're going to re-up the Tax Cut and Jobs Act so that doesn't bang us over the head. But at the same time, there will be hundreds, if not thousands, of little side bills that will be submitted to go in there and adjust that. We got to adjust that Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. So you're never going to get rid of that until you get the fair tax in there, because the fair tax, there's no IRS. Mm-hmm. So and the states are collecting it for the Treasury, and retailers are the only ones that have to collect it to collect the tax. So it's just better all around. You get rid of all the cost of doing the income tax. That's all non-value added stuff, and it's mostly to make you toe the line anyway. For its behavior control anyway. The income tax on individuals does not fund the country. It's everything else that does that.
Well, actually, the income tax it costs about as much to collect the income tax as it makes. So it's really well,
the cost is not just in money. The last time I looked was about 20, but the so-called tax advocate for the IRS, mm-hmm. the individual tax advocate, did a little study, and he said, wow, look, there was over 7.9 billion hours spent, billion spent on filling out income tax forms. Mm-hmm. Because if you go out there and look at the IRS site, you'll see that there are 21 different kinds of taxes that are levied against people, individual, corporate, just bukus of it. And then you got all the regulation and everything that's stacked on top of that. Then you got all the court precedent where people have gone to court and lost probably to the IRS. And that turns out to be over 80,000 pages of that garbage. And we want to replace it with a 132-page bill that says when you buy something, you'll pay a tax.
Mm-hmm.
Something new or a service for your own personal use, and you pay a tax. Otherwise, you get to take home your whole paycheck.
Mm-hmm. And this is going to encourage growth and prosperity within the whole United States. By the way, folks, if you have questions for Chuck and Mary Lynn Bailey, you can always send email to me, and that's Donna@donnasedge.com. Donna@donnasedge.com. Yeah. So Jenny from Plano, Texas, sent you guys a message, and she said she's not in business for herself, but her sister has a business, and she's behind on taxes. So if something, because the interest and penalties just keep piling up. Right. So her question was this, is if this happens under President Trump, we feel like it's a new world coming in with President Trump. We all feel better. So, and it's been a horrible 4 years. She said because of the horrible 4 years, her sister and her husband have been unable to pay bills. It's been really tough on him. He's had to go out and get a job to help support the business that they have now. They wanted to keep it intact because they feel like with President Trump coming in, things are going to be better. Mm-hmm. And then I'm reading it verbatim. So Jenny, bear with me on this question. Okay, so her question is this: because of the interest and penalties, if fair tax comes in, would all of that be deleted, or would they still be responsible for that?
There are three sections of the fair tax law that cover individuals, corporations, and Social Security, Medicare. Mm-hmm. All of those are repealed when the bill gets signed. They're totally repealed, and then 3 years later, the IRS is defunded. So it's going to be hard to kick it back into, kickstart again, because you'd have to go back and start doing all those forms and everything. But the point is, all that stuff goes away, so that when you do a business, you don't even have to worry about Social Security and Medicare, because that's being taken care of in the cost of the tax.
Yeah, but to answer her question, the answer is no. It won't go away, because you're still under.
I can never say no.
No, because those taxes were collected under the old law.
Oh yeah,
unfortunately, unless they can post date it.
That's the reason why the IRS, they take 3 years to defund them, because they have 3 years to reconcile all that stuff that you're talking about there.
But there are services that can help. I mean, they're good services. Unfortunately, we want to put them out of business because we don't want to have to worry about that. The problem with the IRS, and actually it's just in its nature, is we want to take your money and we want to hurt you while we're doing it. And that's just what it is. It's intimidation, social engineering, and so on. And unfortunately, I feel very sorry for her sister and her husband. But that is a result of the law that we have now, and we have to get rid of it. We have to, and hopefully it'll never come. We can keep it from ever happening again.
Well, to me, it's a big punishment to small business owners. It's like you're trying to punish them for having drive and ambition.
Well, you make more money on overtime, and guess what? You lose more than you make.
Yeah,
that's why I'm getting so many emails from folks around the country, because of the Trump stance on, no taxes on overtime. It sounds a little fair taxy like to me.
It really does. Now, no tax on Social Security, no tax on tips, getting rid of the IRS. I mean, I'm not sure how you would do that. Now, the XRS, I am not sure. Our daughter she's not a fan of tariffs at all, because she has worked in a business where they did import things. She said it's actually a tax on the American people. I can understand using tariffs as a threat. I think it's a good idea to do that.
The thing about it is, though, it'd be a tax on people, but it's not going to last forever, because the people that are having to pay those tariffs, whoever's manufacturing overseas is going to move to the U.S. to manufacture that stuff, so they don't have to pay the tariff.
So hopefully that would be the result. Yeah.
Every time when President Trump in the Tax Cut and Jobs Act reduced the income tax on corporations to 15.5% for the first year, hundreds of billions of dollars flowed back into the United States, and you didn't hear about it because of the left-wing media didn't want you to hear about that because it was a good story.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is, take for instance, Apple brought back $245 billion, paid $38 billion in taxes on the 15.5% rate, and promised to spend $50 billion a year rebuilding the business in the United States. And then President Biden came along, and I think he messed that up a little bit, but Trump will get that turned back around.
Yeah, a little bit.
Let's talk about the things, because I want to talk about fair tax a little bit later in this segment, but let's talk about the possibilities, and I think it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen in record time because he's a businessman. What are some of the things that are really going to benefit the United States citizen from President Trump being in office for just 1 week?
Well, he's going to start off, first of all, you're going to see Keystone Pipeline come back. Fuel prices are going to start going down. And we might even see enough push to actually build a refinery or two more so that you can have the gas available. And then that makes it lower because you can make more gas. Mm-hmm. Because this global, look around you, the global climate thing is not working out too well for them.
Actually, it's going to get worse, too. That's the thing.
It's going to get colder.
The climate change thing is it's a way to intimidate people.
Right. It's a control.
It's a way to control people, and especially, I mean, the people who are making money off the climate control are the ones that already have the money, and that's if you'll remember. When Obama was president, he gave $500 billion to Solyndra, and that went defunct as soon as they were paid. They were gone. That's just it's a way to pay off donors,
and they've done that big time over the last 4 years.
So we've got in our lifetime, in my lifetime, and I've lived a few years. We've had these threats. I remember when I was in high school reading Rachel Carson's book, A Silent Spring. Mm-hmm. Turns out that was was a lie. Now I don't know that she knew it was a lie, but the whole thing. We were supposed to have the whole world was supposed to end in 1972 because we were all going to die of starvation because there wasn't going to be enough food to feed the world. Mm-hmm. And instead, we had twice as much food as we needed. So
we're throwing it away. You remember seeing the news footage where there would be piles of fresh food now. Fresh food. I think it's a sin to throw food away. But piles of it that could have went to people.
Yeah.
There was an overabundance of food.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it's a way to scare people into doing what they want you to guide you the way they want to go. We've got to stand up, just like we did when we voted for President Trump. We've got to stand up and say, "Stop it!" And we need to get out of NATO, not NATO, but the United Nations. The United Nations was the beginning of the very evil that we have in this. We have had. The United Nations was supposed to end war. Instead, we've been at war.
We've had more wars.
And if you'll remember, I don't know if you remember your history. After President Wilson wanted to have the League of Nations, and the American people were smart enough to say no, not no, but hell no. And if we'd just been smart enough to do the same thing when the UN was established, because you've got these little tin pot dictators who have the ability to tell us what to do, and it's just. We have a Secretary of State. Why can't we use this? Why can't he do what he's supposed to? Yeah, do his job, or she do her job, whatever. We don't need the United Nations, and in fact, that's a huge amount of money that we could get if they would take, all the countries that want to have the United Nations, send it to Haiti.
Let Haiti. They got some high-priced real estate tied up there in New York, and they cause a big mess every time they come in for.
So I can remember back in the 70s, I think I couldn't understand why in the world we were letting, all of these little countries bring us into wars.
It's the same mentality of the Congress saying to all of the bureaucrats, hey, how about writing these bills for me so I can throw them up there? And all of a sudden the bureaucrats have taken over. And if you don't believe that, just look at what's coming out of the Congress these days.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's what we want.
You know, remember back, I was a senior in high school when Carter was president, and God rest his soul, he passed away. But I'm just telling you, he's not you can't consider him the worst president now. We just had a worst president. You know, so he could die knowing he wasn't the worst president ever. Close to the top, but not the worst president. But I remember those days. I remember thinking, I'm finally old enough. I bought my own car, by the way. It was a junk heap, but anyway, it was my car. And I remember seeing in gas lines where you could only get like, what was it, 5 gallons or something?
1973. 1973.
No, it was 76 is when he was elected. But that was, that's when
started in 73.
I can remember gas was like 28 cents, and this is almost unbelievable, but it was 28 cents a gallon for the longest time. And gas companies would have gas wars. You'd have gas stations that would across the street from each other, and they would, each would lower their gas. And then it went to 67 cents. That's double what it was.
25 cents was better.
Yeah. Well, of course, but
I would love to have 60 something cents now. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. So, it's.
Yeah, but do you feel like history is repeating itself? Because you remember the hostages, the 40 hostages when Carter was president, and all of that stuff was going on, gas wars, couldn't get fuel and all this stuff. Do you feel like right now, this date in time, do you feel like that's a repeat of history from the Carter years?
Yeah, because, the hostages are rolling out of Gaza right now. So
not all of them.
But they're going to.
I feel like they will be now with Trump.
I hope so. I really hope so. The one thing I love about President Trump, and if he did nothing else right, he kept us out of war for 4 years. And I can't.
I don't know how you can argue that Biden was a better president than Trump. How can I fathom that? Now, this is the way I am. Okay. All right. So we'll use Alabama and Auburn as a football. Okay. Phil is Alabama. I'm Auburn. I'm the kind of Auburn fan that if I say Auburn doesn't have a chance at it, I'm going to root for Alabama. I'm not one of those that I'm for Auburn and whoever's playing Alabama. That's ludicrous to me. You should be for your own state, whatever that is. Yeah. Okay, so I feel like some people want I prayed for Biden that he would make wise decisions if it were possible. I mean, I wanted him to do a good job. I did not want him to do the crappy job that he did. I was praying for this guy constantly. It's like, God, please give him the insight and the wisdom to rule this country. He couldn't do it. But anyway, I did pray for the best. I did not want to see this country be taken down. I did not want to. I didn't care at that point who got the credit. I just wanted it to be right. But there are people right now that are praying that Trump does a bad job.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Because they don't care about the country.
I think they just,
they're ignorant. They look at him and say, all of those things that MSNBC and CNN have said about him are true, and they're just all lies.
Yeah, well,
CNN is starting to pay for it now. If you notice, they just got whacked $500 million, I think it is.
Envy is one of the 7 deadly sins.
Yeah.
So, the thing about Biden was he wasn't president. It was a committee president, because he was not responsible at all. I mean, even in the beginning, he wasn't responsible. You remember he called a lid to the day at 4:00. He didn't get up until 10. I mean, it was
most of the time it's noon.
Well, whatever. Anyway, it doesn't really make a difference. The thing is, he was not the president. It was a committee that was in charge, and they were committed to their own personal welfare. And
but remember this, Mary Lynn. Okay, he was VP. Okay, Barack Obama was president. You couldn't blame it on old age. He was stupid then too, because don't you remember? He told where the bunks were. He told where the bunkers were. He actually spoke that.
Yeah.
So you can't blame it on age.
No, he's always been that way. In fact, the fact that he started out that way, he has lied constantly through. He lied about his background. He lied about his education. He lied about how he got his education. He's, top
of the class. Come to find out, he was the bottom of the class.
Yeah,
but
he misremembered. How could you misremember anything like that? I mean, I would remember if I was the bottom of the class.
Yeah,
there was something yesterday where they were talking about him and his starting off and everything, and they said it was a faux pas that he won his first race, and I don't know what the deal was, but he I guess it's the fact that Delaware, who was somebody saying that my district is bigger than Delaware's total voting public.
Yeah.
Anyway, that he won it with numbers like that, and he has the same power as every other senator in the U.S. Senate.
Well, that can be a good thing and a bad thing.
In this case, it was bad all along.
Yeah. He was. I'm sorry. I just can't. I can't really think of anything good that Joe Biden has done, and the fact that he was. I mean, in 1987, I can remember. I was I was driving actually at the time. He had plagiarized Neil Kinnock's speech, and that was that.
We happened to be in the UK at the time. He was giving that speech.
Oh, what were they saying about that?
They were saying, "Oh, listen to this. Here's Biden's speech." He says, "Here's Neil Kinnock's speech." And it was almost word for word.
Yeah, it disqualified him for presidency at the time.
Right.
But he never quit lying. He still, and I think what happened is he lost his family, which was a tragedy. Lost his wife and son. Mm-hmm. Was it a daughter?
A daughter and then a son for cancer.
Yeah, and he used that. Now,
use it.
Yeah,
sympathy. Yeah,
the sympathy vote. Yeah, and then he was a useful idiot, is what it was. He was a useful. People liked him for some reason. I don't know. I mean, I don't think. He was never an attractive person to me. Not in looks, but just his actions were not attractive to me. But a lot of people really liked him. And so he was used by the Democrat Party to push their agenda. And, even Obama said, you can, what was it? You can always count on Joe Biden to mess things up. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
But he used a different word.
Well, I remember the word.
Yeah. So, yeah, he has never been, and I don't know.
When you give away the location of the bunker, that's kind of a bonehead thing to do. I mean, you would think anyone with the right mind, with any kind of a brain cell in their head whatsoever, would know to keep that a secret. I mean, some things that was my whole point with people that were talking about how great he was, and I said, but he gave away the bunker location.
Yeah,
I mean, that would keep him safe. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, he liked to project himself as being more than he was, and I guess he still does.
Yeah,
that's apparent.
Yeah. So,
but do you feel like he was done wrong by the Democrats, though? I mean, do at the very end of it, they threw him under the bus?
Yeah, I'm not sure they even thought that Kamala could win. They just didn't want him to be there to take the hit, I guess.
I don't know. I think they looked at the numbers. They looked at the numbers. I remember the panic on the debate night. They were saying, we keep getting all these calls, and while the news people were talking about what a great job he did. I can remember Van Jones saying, "This is really bad. We're getting all these calls. We got donors that are withdrawing their donations, and in the meantime, you had MSNBC and CNN telling us what a great speech. I mean, that last speech he gave, they keep talking about that was the best speech he ever gave.
Well, that's not a whole lot to say. Okay, you can say, I'm not a singer, by the way. I can get up in church and I can sing a song. And then get up the next time. People could say, well, that's a better job than you did the last time. Well, that's not saying much because I'm not a singer.
Yeah.
You're not giving me much of a compliment.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to pile on to him now. I mean, he's got he has Jill.
I think those
living with him. I can't feel, I can't.
The people around him need to be
executed for letting him go this far.
Judged for age abuse.
Yeah, but if you look at the criminals that he has pardoned, I truly consider Millie, who was willing to call the Chinese and tell them if we were thinking about attacking. How can you do that and get away with it? And that is treason. And nothing was ever done about that. And
I think Fauci needs to be under the jail cell. He needs to be in prison for life.
They're going to have to figure out how to do it now because they've all been pardoned.
Yeah, and he was responsible not only for COVID but also for AIDS.
Yeah,
So that he kept.
That was under Reagan too, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
He was the one that caused the problem during the Reagan administration.
Mm-hmm. So
well, this is what I keep remembering. COVID was terrible. I mean, it was just horrible. I got it, but what I mean is just the whole stance of COVID was terrible. But the picture I keep seeing in my mind is elder people who were in their nursing homes and their kids and grandkids couldn't see them. And you'd see them just looking like this in the glass, like this, at their kids and their grandkids who could not come in and see them. That's what I keep seeing. When I think of Hillary Clinton, I keep thinking of Benghazi. I keep thinking of those blood fingerprints on that wall right there. There are certain images that I just can't get rid of.
Right.
And it's for life. That's what I remember from those two.
And you should never get rid of those, because every time a vote comes up, you got to remember the kind of people that do those kind of things. Don't vote for them.
Yeah, but you also have to consider that Obama was responsible for the gain of function. Fauci didn't work on his own; he was funded. So any entity that felt like, they're discovering new diseases. They're
look out for this one. It's going to get you.
Yeah, they're producing new ones. I mean,
okay, I got an idea. Okay, we don't want new diseases brought into the United States. How about this? Okay, someone gets across the border somehow. They climb over the wall or whatever they do. They get over here. Can we start giving them COVID shots and maybe a face mask to wear that says, "I love the United States" or something? I mean, wouldn't that be a wise thing to do?
Yeah.
Cruel and unusual.
Well, I want to end. I want to end the invasion. That needs to end. I don't really care whether they get a COVID shot or not. But frankly, a COVID shot is more dangerous than the disease. So
that should have started.
It is. My brother, who argued that point to me, has had every shot that they have, and just lame brain my husband and me, feeling me for not getting it.
Mm-hmm.
He's regretting it now. He's wishing he had never done it.
Yeah. That border thing should be ending here anytime soon.
Yeah, and
it's afternoon at the White House.
I hope so, guys. We've got to go on a commercial break. Can you believe over half the show's already gone? Okay, we'll be right back in just a few minutes. Everybody, hang in there, okay? We'll be right back. I promise.
Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community. Whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need, toys at Christmas, or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender. The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement heifers. I always call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462.
Good afternoon. We're back. Thank you so much for watching Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. We have a show within the show. We do shows before the show, after the show. Now I'm talking about Chuck and Marilyn Bailey. I think y'all are the ones that do this. We have a show before the show, and then during the commercial break, and then after the show too. So we really could have a 3-hour show if y'all wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be
great. That. But thank you guys so much for watching. So you can find us on television. We're syndicated on Abundance Television, which is all over the world basically, but especially in Texas and Oklahoma and North and South Carolina. You guys in California. You guys in California like to watch us too.
Wow.
And we also have some folks who are just across the world who are missionaries who watch us. So it's kind of like they get a little bit of taste back home. So that's pretty cool how that happens. You can also find us on the Newscasters Studio. That's the newscasters.com, where we have a podcast. All the social media sites, we're happy to be there as well. A lot of folks still watch us on Facebook. That's facebook.com/DFeasel. That way you can watch anytime you want to. And right now I'm being a good girl, apparently, because I've not received any, we're going to get rid of you, girl, if you don't straighten up your act. So I'm not getting any more of those for a while. And I think it's because President Trump is coming in. But we've been talking about fair tax. And I've got some questions for you guys. So Marlon, I'll just tell you who all asked almost the same questions. So it's Marlon, Clara, Brenda, Renee, and I've got them highlighted. I highlight stuff. Kelly, Paulette, Rita, Jessica, and a few more have asked questions about the prebate. And how that works. And a lot of the questions were about, is it some kind of a debit card? And they understand that it's going to be United States citizens. So they feel like a lot of this was just, it looks like to me, it's finally, it's going to be something for the United States citizens. We love people of all over countries, whatever. But to be an American citizen, it feels like you're being paid a bonus.
Actually, the prebate, it's very simple. It's paid the same way that like Social Security or any government pay it. It's you can get a direct deposit, you can get a check in the mail. I'm sure there's going to be a way to have it on a debit card.
Yeah. They got those EBT cards and everything. So it's just another
easy set
of cards.
And actually, to be early on, and about 25 years ago when it first was introduced, there were credit card companies that were offering to pay the government to deliver the prebate. And you can understand why they would want to do that, because then you would have a credit card that you would get a payment each month, but you could also spend money on it. So it was a two-way deal on that.
They were going to make money off of it. They wouldn't have offered it.
Exactly. Now, I don't know if that deal is still, I don't know if that would be something that would happen or not. I think it would be probably bad for people who are not good handling money.
Right.
But anyway, paying the prebate is not a problem. It's any more than any government program.
But Mary Lynn, what is the prebate?
Okay, well, for those who don't know, the prebate is a pre-fund. You're paid in advance 1/12 of the taxes that you would pay up to the poverty level, depending on your family circumstances. It has nothing to do with how much money you have or your income. Zero. Yeah, the government. In fact, if with the prebate, actually with the fair tax, you can actually be anonymous. You don't have to give any information to the government. If you take the prebate, you'll have to let the government know how many people you have in your family, and then
where you live and what their social security numbers are.
Exactly, and you have to be an American citizen in order to collect the prebate. But it's actually very simple, and you can spend that money if you don't spend up to the poverty level.
Sure,
it's your money when you get it, and it's yours immediately. So, and we have some numbers for a single person. A single person can spend a little over $1,200 a month without any tax, without having any paying out any tax, because that money will be pre-funded. You'll get it at the first of the month. It'll be 1/12 of the amount of taxes you would pay throughout the year. And it's very simple. If it's one of the hardest things for people,
very true. So you don't hear anything from the government that's easy. I think that's why we're getting all the questions about the prebate.
Yeah,
that's the only form you have to fill out. And like Mary Lynn says, if you want to remain anonymous and not get the prebate, which most people will say, "Oh, I'm going to get it," you don't have to fill out that form, and it's not mandatory. It's a choice. It's a choice. So you're getting choice with fair tax that you don't have with. How many people do you know that say, "Well, I don't think I'm going to pay my income tax this year. It ain't going to work."
Yeah. So, but the income tax is voluntary. Did you know that?
No, that's just like Social Security.
If you want to send them a check, I'm pretty sure they'll take it.
Yeah.
What I love about this is I have a choice of my charity.
Yeah.
I'm not helping some lazy good for nothing who doesn't want to work and who wants to make a career off of whatever. I choose the charity. It's this charity of my choice.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, the fair tax is only a collection. It is not it's not paying out anything.
But I'm going to have more money that I can give to where I want to give.
Yes, you can choose. It's the ultimate freedom, and in fact, it's been said that it is the greatest amount of transfer of power and freedom since the Revolutionary War. It's, you just have to want it. You have to want it badly enough. And one of the things that actually didn't occur to me until I heard someone talk about it is currently, now this is the fair tax federal. Actually, it's probably for the state too, but federally, we have embedded taxes, which are taxes that are collected, that accumulate throughout the production process. And that includes, Social Security, Medicare, income tax, the cost of the production, and so on, that is passed on to as something is before it is sold at retail. And that accumulates to about 16% for leather goods, up to 28% for cars and for houses and things like that.
Labor intensive.
Yeah, labor intensive things. And so what when you think about that, and the fair tax federally has been 23% for as long as I've heard the number. And in fact, that number I heard before the fair tax was even a thing back in 1982. So it's stayed stable, and it collects the same amount of money as the income tax does, without all the stuff that goes along with it.
Yeah,
let me finish my point. The 23% actually replaces the 22%. So it could actually be called a 1% tax. But because it's collected from everyone, it's collected from everyone, not just the people who are earning a living. So, it's really not.
And whether you're legal or not, or if you have an illegal job, you're being paid undercover, you're being paid cash or whatever.
And there are people in who American citizens who are working abroad, who are currently paying the income tax and the tax of the country that they're in,
Oh my goodness.
they don't pay the income tax. There are people who are renouncing their citizenship simply because they are being taxed by the United States on the money that they earn somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And so that would eliminate that.
That would go away.
That would go away, and people would not have to renounce their citizenship.
I know a man who used to be in construction, and he would go to Kuwait and work, and he would work like 9 months out of the year, come home, for 90 days, and then go back out there again. And he did it for that sole purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the reason. The main reason for the rebate was to take that off the backs of people. I
wanted to mention something.
The fair tax is family friendly, and you get to earn the first dollar you make, and you spend that first dollar, and then you finally start paying taxes once you meet the poverty level for your family size. And it's never on income; it's always on family size. So anybody that tells you that the fair tax is regressive, they're just lying to your face.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think the number, I don't know that I actually mentioned the number, but a single person can earn $1,200 a month without paying any taxes. A family of four can...
you can spend $1,200
I'm sorry, spend. If you don't spend it, you just it's added to your income. But a family of four can earn, is it 40,000 now?
Yes, around 40,000.
Yeah, so you don't pay taxes up to 40,000.
And remember, you got to spend all that 40,000 paying the 23% tax to have the tax come back to you at the same amount. So the next dollar after 40,000, you start paying tax. So you can see that your tax bill for the year, if you only spend that 40,000, is going to be this little bit, 23% you spend on that dollar. So,
and because of the prebates, you actually never reach 23%.
Right.
I think the numbers, to even get close, you have to spend like $8 million or something. It was a large amount of money.
A single person is about $2 to $3 million, and then it's $10 million for a family of four. But
yeah, it's
because it's an asymptotic curve that never reaches the 23% value.
Rita wanted a little more clarity about same-sex marriages. Who
cares? Who cares?
That has nothing to do with the parents.
Nothing to do with the tax.
No, I guess if you want to examine their tax situation, each person in a marriage, regardless of whether it's same sex or not, would still receive the prebate. So
as long as they're an American citizen, they've got a social security number, and they have they can claim their head of household or dependent of the head of household.
And so, for instance, if you had an American citizen married to someone who is not an American citizen, then the American citizen would collect, but not the other. So it just doesn't discriminate.
Illegal immigrants will pay the tax at the retail, but they do not get a rebate because they don't qualify.
I met a lady out on the street who watches the show, and I'm trying to remember. I think she said green card. She's not an American. I'm not up on all this stuff. So she's not an American citizen, but she has a green card. So she asked me if she's got a green card, would she qualify for the rebate?
She's a legal resident of the United States.
Okay. So even with a green card, she's not a formal.
But if she breaks the bond of that green card, that goes away.
You guys have a lot more listeners than you think you have. She actually stopped me. I was doing a remote at Bobby Ledbetter's place. And so she came in.
Those listeners need to start talking to their representatives and senators. Or else
and that's the first thing I said to her. I said, y'all need to be talking to your representatives, because these people, they're just taking it as, well, nobody's saying anything. So they're not going to do anything until you speak up.
The income tax is a fundraiser for politicians. So if you want to keep, on going the way you are, you're going to be funding their campaigns. If you want absolute freedom from it's.
And since they don't want the fair tax, it's a fundraiser for them as well to lie about the fair tax and denigrate it.
Yeah, and you'll hear all kinds of stories. We've heard people who depend on the income tax for their living, say the tax would have to be 40% or more. It wouldn't bring in the same amount of money.
And we say bring the receipts, and they say, well, I did a study and it had to be well, did you use the fair tax as a basis? Yeah. Oh no, that fair tax thing, you can't have this and it won't be that and it won't be that. Yeah. So it's got to be 40%.
They would change it around. So
crazy wacko.
Yeah, it has been tested, and in fact, to see that it is revenue neutral. And actually, it brings in a little bit more money than the income tax
Not
does.
that we want it to.
No,
but it brings in, if you compare it to on a yearly basis, it always brings in a couple $100 billion more than the income tax does, because it's not encumbered with all the cost of collecting.
And it also it funds Social Security and Medicare, unlike they've ever been funded before. It's with the fair tax, it's a pay as you go. It is not a pyramid scheme, which is what, Bernie Madoff, made a lot.
Ultimate. We've had the pyramid scheme for how many years now? How many decades?
Since 1936, I believe.
Yeah.
And by the way, it worked real well back then, because you couldn't, no one could collect until 1939 or so. And you had something like 40 people per person collecting, and now there's 1.8 people per person paying in. This that has to hand over the money to pay for the Social Security and Medicare. So it's not a good system at all.
Well, it's a great system. It hides the deficit. They've been using that money for years to hide the deficit.
How about it's a scam?
People. The question now is, how does that work? How does that work? Well, it works because right now you've got about 140, 150 million people paying into the Social Security Medicare program, whereas under the fair tax, everybody that spends money pays into it, whether they're a legal immigrant or illegal or working American or whatever. Whoever spends money, if you're a foreign visitor here and you spend money, you're going to pay the tax. And unlike those other countries, we don't have unlike other countries, we don't have a VAT, so they don't get to take that back when they go. So.
This is just an observation from Donna, okay? Okay, so, and I think other people are thinking the same thing I am. So there's been such a resistance to President Trump taking in. They did everything they possibly could, degrade his name, try to, put him in jail, prison, whatever. He's been to every courthouse, it seems like, in the whole United States. Yeah. But there's such a resistance to get him in office. Do you think part of that? Because I'm just telling you, tax is power. I mean, you got all these freaks who are in office right now who don't deserve to be there. They're doing nothing. All they're doing is planning their next campaign for next time around, because they're making money off of this. I mean, they're spending it like drunken sailors. I mean, it's just stupid stuff going on. Do you think part of that, or do you think the biggest part of the resistance to President Trump is they've heard through the grapevine that there could be something like this going into place, and they'd lose their part of their power?
Yeah, it could be possible, but I think there are so many fingers in that, the tendrils.
They wanted to let the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. They wanted it to just die out so the taxes would go up. They didn't want to fool with that. They were going to go in there and tinker with it a little bit to make it look like they were doing something, and the taxes were going to go up.
Yeah, but you're right.
There's all kinds of different little things that you've seen them do that. With Trump in there, it's not going to get done now.
Well, let's hope. I love President Trump.
You think Mike Johnson's going to just start going and giving them stuff? I don't think so.
I don't. It's such a small majority in the House and in the Senate. It's going to be a tough road. I mean, you look at what happened in the first administration. Trump is he is a very smart man, and he used the last 4 years to come up with a really, really good cabinet. I can't think of any of his people that he's has nominated for a post that isn't just wonderful. I mean, I think they're going to be really good, but they invented laws to put him in jail.
Yeah,
that's not going to end. That's like the end of a snake dying. It's not going to quit. So, we're just going to have to, I pray that if he could do everything he wants to do, I think we could be in great shape. I think we're going to be in good shape. I just wish that we we could lose the House and the Senate in the next election, and that's only 2 years away.
So this is my concern. Okay, so they couldn't cheat and get Kamala in this time. That didn't work because we knew what the pitfalls were. We all knew what to look out for, and so did President Trump. However, I think they let that go because they were thinking, well, let's think about the House and the Senate right now. We know that Joe's not going to win it, and we know Kamala's not going to get it. So do you think they put all of their emphasis and time on those upcoming races?
They've got schemes to drag their feet on all the legislation. Plus, they're probably out there beating the bushes trying to find somebody that they think can run against the different representatives and senators and win it back. So they never quit.
No, we have to be informed and vigilant, and that works for the fair tax too. Because if the fair tax is passed, it needs to be passed just exactly the way it was written. If it's not, if they can insert a poison pill in it, it could be just as bad as the income tax.
Then we need to follow suit and make sure that the 16th Amendment is repealed, because the bill says if the 16th Amendment isn't repealed by the end of 7 years, 6 months later, in that 7th year, you revert back to whatever tax they want to try to collect off of you. So the fair tax will sunset out. So once we get it in, we got 7 years to get rid of the 16th Amendment.
We have to be an informed, educated populace. And right now, the shades are coming off of people's eyes. They're seeing the evil that's out there. But it's not going to, it's something that you can't just sit back and say, okay, we've done it now. Trump is president, all is good. Trump is president. We've got a good head start. But we're still going to have to do our part. Yeah. We can't just sit back.
Not only that, do you know first of all, there are some people who just don't vote, and that irritates me to death. And then there are some people who only vote at the presidential election. They don't vote for senator. They don't vote for Congress. They don't vote for any of these things, not even their own city council in their own city town. I mean, they don't do that. But it starts at the city council, I think. I think you've got to, your mayor and your city council needs to be some people who really care about your community, because what I've seen in the communities that I'm around, these communities, is now they're using the Jesus thing. You couldn't mention Jesus' name before at a city council meeting, but you can now, because what they say now is, Jesus loves everybody. That's what I'm hearing now. And I want to be at one of those city council meetings where they say that. I'm going to go, so it's okay to mention Jesus' name now, because prior you'd say we couldn't. We're going to offend somebody who's not a Christian, but now you're okay with it. Yeah. Can we now have a revival in our city council meeting now that it's okay? So here's the point. It's important on every level. I don't care, dog catcher, whatever. It's important who we elect for all of these, because it all winds up going to the big one. So if you're only going to vote for president of the United States, I think you've messed up.
Yep. Well, the other thing too is if we could get rid of the 17th Amendment, then the election of senators, or the senators, would be appointed by the state, and then
make them beholden to the state. Like it would
make the local elections so much more important, and people would have to be aware. But I am glad to see that people are beginning to awaken and to see what's going on. I mean, there's a great deal. Now, we live in Alabama, so there's a great deal of joy around here. I don't know, but I've seen people in California who are kind of waking up and seeing, what poor, elections can do.
The heat in the kitchen's getting to them.
Yeah.
Well, you guys know Victoria Lee Scott, and she's with the Newscaster Studio, and she lives in California. And so this is what she's on the show like once a month at least. And she's a wildcat. And she's just crazy girl. And I love interviewing her. She's just so much fun. But she is a huge, she's not even a Republican. She's like I am. She's not Democrat for sure. And not a Republican either, not a card-toting one. But she is a conservative, and she loves the United States. So she said, Donna, I'm seeing different things here. And she's in Southern California. She said what she was seeing before the election. She said, I saw more Trump signs than I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So she and a friend of hers decided to go on Longshore. And so they were out that way. And she said, I couldn't believe it. I thought I died and went to heaven. She said there were Trump signs and banners all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the same thing around here. There were some little bastions of hope for Kamala, but mostly Trump.
Yeah. Well, when we were taking a trip, we were to South Carolina. South Carolina is a gimme. I think everybody there just about it voted for Trump. But what I noticed is it would be like to every 100, there was 99 and a half that were for Trump, and you saw that one little half that had this little Biden or Kamala thing up there. Mm-hmm. I did see one billboard. Now, it's not even billboards all over the place, going down 85 and in Atlanta and all over the place. I was seeing like huge billboards that were for Trump. But I did see one that was for Kamala. I saw one, the entire stretch.
I've never seen any around here, do you?
I don't know. She spent a lot of money. I'm surprised there weren't more.
Yeah, she was spending money buying people off rather than putting it in.
Yeah, I think it was going to buy people off.
Yeah,
more than anything else. But I saw a trend, and Victoria again. She said, I feel good about this election. I think we're going to get it. But now she's like us. She says it doesn't stop now with the presidential election. No. You got senators in Congress and all these people because they could put a slam on everything that President Trump wants to do. And I want people to understand that. So we've got 3 minutes left in this segment. How can we help people to understand that it's important? Every election is important, not just the presidential election.
Right. We'll have in a couple of years now, we'll have the state elections coming up, and those are really important this time around because they're going to be the people that stand up for the next terms, so depending on who you put in there will depend on whether the thing keeps going or not.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, it
does. The down ballots are the important things. You need to, both parties need to have their people out and about, rather than like in Alabama, typically you don't know who the judge. You'll see a judge's name on there and say, "Who is that guy?" Never heard of him. But that's because that guy that was running for that judgeship didn't get out and about and let people know who he was. So we're seeing more of those guys come out of the closet, and there's one judge, Judge Cole from Birmingham. He's up here for meetings every month. Whenever the Republican Party's meeting, he's a Republican. So.
After the 2000 election and what happened there, George Soros put a lot of money into Secretary of State campaigns because they're the ones that call the election or they certify the election.
Then he went to district attorneys.
Mm-hmm. So, and the district attorneys, if you'll remember out in California, those, and Alvin Bragg, Letitia, they're all Soros. Yeah, and the one is it Fox, the woman in
Pam Fox in Chicago.
And then the one in
Juicy
Smollett, yeah, and then in Missouri, in St. Louis, is the same thing. So
let's not forget Fonnie in Atlanta.
Yeah, so we really have to. You have to be vigilant. You have to know. You have to know what your core values are, and then vote those.
And also, don't believe a guy when he comes out and says, "Oh, we got to be careful. All these billionaires are starting oligarchies."
Well, they are.
and he gave
guys, we got to call it a day.
Presidential freedom.
I can't believe how fast an hour flies by when you guys are on the show. Thank you so much for being with us. It's always a pleasure. We got you signed up already now for February, and we're all excited about that.
Send your questions in.
Yeah, send your questions in.
Jessica Mayhew won.
All right.
Okay. I'll send
she gets the book. So there she goes. But thank you guys again so much for watching. Continue sending those emails and questions. Donna@donnasedge.com. Hope you have a super duper awesome blessed day today. Take care. Bye.
Thanks, Donna. Bye.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer.
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.